fun, and in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to make soap. We're going to make a very small amount of soap, but this recipe can be scaled up for industrial level production as well. So for this experiment, we're going to need some chemicals, sodium hydroxide pellets, deionized water, some ethanol, any kind of oil, but today I am going to use peanut oil. You may use olive oil, coconut oil, sunflower oil, any oil of your choice. Just be mindful that some oils will produce liquid soaps and some oils will produce solid soaps. Peanut oil will produce a solid soap. And then I am going to need some saturated sodium chloride solution. You can make that by combining a couple spoonfuls of salt with some water. Just keep adding salt to your water until you start seeing the sodium chloride remain on the bottom. For our equipment, we're going to need a test tube in which everything will be combined. When everything is combined, we're going to heat this to boiling point. And for us, that means we're going to use a sand bath. Here I have a hot plate with a sand bath on top, and I'm going to place my test tube with my chemicals inside. That will ensure that my test tube on the bottom will be heated evenly and the temperature will go fast to the boiling point. And we will keep it there for about 10 minutes. To make sure that nothing escapes through the boiling process, we're going to use a cotton plug at the end of our test tube. To measure out our amounts as accurately as possible, we're going to use a 10 milliliter graduated cylinder. And for the much smaller amounts, we may use a micropipette with the appropriate tips. And finally, after our soap is made, we will need to filter it away from the solution in which it was created. And for that, we will need to set up a filtration apparatus, which requires a filter, a stand, an O-ring, and a filter paper. I will bring in the additional equipment once we get closer to that step of the process. So let's begin with the setup. The first thing we have to do is transfer 3 pellets of sodium hydroxide to our test tube. If you don't trust your hands, it's best to switch to a spatula. If you do, just be careful and make sure that you always handle the sodium hydroxide with gloves. We can set this to the side. Next, we are going to use our micropipette. The first thing we do is dial our setting to 1 milliliter. Once it is at the 1 milliliter mark, we press it in until the first stop, slide it into our vial, extract our ethanol, raise it up, and then depress the plunger to the second stop. And with that, our measurement is complete, and we will discard of our tip into a waste container. Next, we move on to a different tip, and we will measure out a 1 milliliter of the deionized water. We depress the plunger to the first stop, slide it into the deionized water, let it slowly come up, transfer it on top of the test tube, and depress it to the second stop. And with that, we're done with this measurement, and we discard of the tip. For our final measurement, we will need 600 microliters or 0.6 milliliters of any oil of our choosing. So we dial back to 600 microliters. Once we're there, we depress the plunger to the first stop, slowly extract our oil, bring it on top of the test tube, and press our plunger to the second stop. And we can discard the tip and set our micropipette aside. All our materials are now together. And we already see a bit of a color change. This is where we take a cotton ball. We try to fluff it up a little bit, and then we seal up the top of our test tube. This will allow to keep everything contained in the process of heating our mixture to a boil. So now we place our test tube with its contents into the sand bath, and we will keep it there boiling for approximately 10 minutes. we can see it's already boiling. We just need to keep it there for 10 minutes. If it's going a little too fast, we can always slow it down, but we need to keep the boiling going, otherwise the reaction will not occur. It has been approximately 10 minutes since our mixture that contains the sodium hydroxide, the peanut oil, the ethanol, and the deionized water started boiling. It is time to proceed to the next step. We are going to extract our test tube from the sand bath, and we can turn off the heat on the hot plate. Now for the next step, we're going to add 3 milliliters of the saturated sodium chloride solution to our mixture. First, we add the sodium chloride solution. I measured at 3.09 milliliters of the saturated sodium chloride solution. My test tube is slowly cooling down, and I can give it a little bit more. Just enough that the addition of the sodium chloride solution does not break my test tube. But if I add the solution slowly enough, it should have no impact other than to cool off my mixture faster. Now we mix it thoroughly. The addition of the sodium chloride solution cooled off my mixture. And now it is apparently precipitating a pale yellowish or cream colored solid. And that could very well be our soap. Next, we're going to set our test tube to the side, let it rest for about 5 minutes, and then we will proceed with our filtration. It has been a little over 5 minutes since we combined our boiled mixture for the soap with the 3 milliliters of the saturated sodium chloride solution. And now our soap is ready. We need to filter it, rinse it with some water, and then it is ready for molding and later use. So to get to that part, we need to set up our filtration. We're going to fold our filter paper, open it up, place it inside the funnel, place a waste beaker or waste container on the bottom, lower it, and then we add just a couple drops of our deionized water into the filter paper to make it stick to the walls of the funnel. And with that, we are ready to transfer our soap. Now, it may move on its own, or it may need to be moved, and that is why I always have a spatula ready for this step of the process. It appears a gloopy mess, but that's okay. We're going to add a little bit of water to it. Mix it well. And then very rapidly transfer it over. We are already performing our first test. Once we make the soap, the main purpose of soap is cleaning, and the main process through which soap cleans is the formation of bubbles. And we already begin seeing the formation of bubbles. A couple of rinses will be enough. And now we just need to wait for all the liquid to flow through and for us to recover the solid.